the weather forecast with C3 Production.
Good evening, lovely viewers, and hope you are enjoying your weekend already. And thank you for joining me once again on the weather forecast. Tonight, we may experience moderate to heavy showers, especially in parts of the center, northwest, and the south regions. And temperatures are expected to get as low as 16 to 17 degrees in the west, northwest, and Adamawa regions. And we may have the center, south, and east regions expect as low as 18 to 19 degrees. The southwest, littoral, north, and far north regions may have temperatures as low as between 21 to 22 degrees. Detailing onto the center region tonight, we may have light showers dominate the region, but heavier in Monatili, and this experience will progress till morning with temperatures between 19 to 25 degrees. Next, onto the center region tonight, we may have heavy precipitation dominate the entire region, and a similar experience to progress till morning with temperatures as low as 14 to 18 degrees. And lastly, we go on to the south region, where light showers would dominate the entire region tonight, and a similar situation is expected by morning between 21 to 24 degrees. It is important that you step out in warm clothing and also stay away from swampy areas. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.
And Cameroon observes Mental Health Day today with a strong call on persons with mental illnesses to go to the hospital and not to a witch doctor or a suspicious prayer house. Representatives of traditional rulers for the regional council elections are expected to deposit the colors that will represent them during the campaigns. Their deadline is October 20. Plus, the Intermediate Lions of Cameroon play a 0-0 draw with South Sudan today after an encyclopedia of wasted goal scoring opportunities on their way to the Shan. Good evening and thanks for joining me today on the 7:30 News. I am Benen Bumagana in Yaoundé.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
Today, October 10, is observed as World Mental Health Day under the theme Greater Investments, Greater Access Everywhere for All. The year 2020 marks the end of WHO's 7-year action plan, which focuses on preventing mental disorders through better governance, better care services, and prevention strategies. Beatrice Losamba looks at the advances made in providing mental health care for all.
At first sight, it all looks well on our streets. And this team of psychologists in the nation's capital have to be intentional about finding the mentally ill. Sometimes all they need is food, drinks, clothes, and kind words to heal.
We want to sensitize the population to accompany these wandering mental patients.
And everyone at some point or the other has been in their shoes before. Almost everybody, experts say, battles with depression and anxiety every day in the midst of poverty and crisis.
Everybody is really touched of this coronavirus. There are people that are having this psychological distress. The fact they hear about the coronavirus, or people that are dying, their well-being, their well-wishers.
We have a call center which answers to the number 1511 to deal with psychological problems nationally. People can call anytime to have a listening ear.
Many cannot afford treatment for mental disorders. Some treatments do not address complex challenges. Paradigms are shifting to models which focus on prevention and advocacy against social stigma.
And as the country observes World Mental Health Day today, medical practitioners in the South region are encouraging persons with mental health issues to get themselves treated in hospitals and not in traditional doctors or suspicious prayer houses. This follows an observation that most persons with mental sicknesses in the region are not taken to the hospital, but to witch doctors and prayer houses for treatment. Lenis Njele completes that story.
Dementia is a group of mental illnesses that affect the proper functioning of human beings. In Ebolova, 10 to 17 cases of mental health illnesses are recorded monthly. Generally, when the patients arrive, we register them and get their complaints. It is from the complaints that we send them to the specialists in charge of their cases. With limited material and human resources to host some patients suffering from dementia, the Ebolova Regional Hospital has, however, been taking care of the mentally deranged. Convincing and encouraging these patients to come for consultation and treatment is the main difficulty. We attend to those with minor cases, while those who are aggressive with major cases are referred to Hôpital Jamo in Yaoundé to be taken care of. Most of these patients go to traditional doctors, churches, and others are loitering on the streets. There are people we can save, so let's not keep or chain them at home. Medical personnel in Ebolova have been organizing sensitization programs on dementia to promote good health and prevent mental health illnesses.
And still in health, patients with metastatic cancer display no improvement from the drug therapy at the chemotherapy unit of the Yaoundé General Hospital are now placed on palliative care in order to alleviate their pain. Palliative care is a specialized medical care for people with serious illnesses like metastatic cancer. Cynthia Saptala toured the chemotherapy unit of the Yaoundé General Hospital and brought back this report.
C'est le deuxième mois déjà, donc je suis administré ici. Je vais dire que le traitement est efficace, oui, parce que tout ce qu'on m'a donné jusqu'ici, un résultat, même que ce soit des saignements, que ce soit des douleurs abdominales, des fatigues.
Barely audible and invisible pain, this is one of the patients receiving palliative care at the Medical Oncology Unit of the Yaoundé General Hospital. Suffering from colorectal cancer, he and some others here now rely on painkillers and antibiotics in order to be relieved.
Palliative care for patients who are sick and which the sickness is no more sensitive to drug therapy.
With one of the basic tenets of providing palliative care, emphasizing on routine symptom assessments combined with honest communication, it does require a specialized team with training in the domain.
We have doctors, nurses, social workers, psychologists, and even pastors and priests.
The same support is also provided to caregivers often overwhelmed by the situation. Medical research has shown that palliative care is beneficial to cancer patients and their family and can be provided soon after diagnosis.
On to one of our lead stories now. Leaders of representatives of traditional rulers for the regional council elections have been called upon to submit the colors that will be used to identify them and their ballot papers during the campaigns. The call was made at a press briefing granted Wednesday by the Director General of Elekam, Eric Esuse. Ebenezer Akanga reports.
The regional council elections of December 6, 2020 will be the first to be organized in the country involving lists of candidates not nominated by political parties, that is, representatives of traditional rulers. If the law stipulates that political parties have to submit their logos and colors to Elekam in view of the printing of campaign and ballot papers, the same law is silent on the situation of lists of candidates not nominated by political parties. Elekam has taken measures to fill the legal vacuum by calling on list leaders of representatives of traditional rulers to submit the colors that will be used to identify them in campaign and ballot papers. 111 lists of representatives of traditional rulers have been accepted by Elekam to run in the regional council elections. This number could change depending on the outcome of pre-electoral litigations, if any there will be.
The Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, George Elanga Obam, has revealed that 1 out of 5 proposed structures in the Adamawa region will be chosen to accommodate the future regional councillors of the region. The minister was speaking during a prospection visit to Ngaoundéré, as we hear in this report by Silas Nkwine.
As the election of the first ever regional councillors in the country approaches, finding a place to accommodate them is government's #1 concern.
I came here in Ngaoundéré to see how to accommodate the regional council when the councillors are going to be elected and the executive is installed.
5 structures, including a 4-story building, 2 3-story buildings and a 1-story building, were selected by local authorities and seen by the Minister of Decentralization during his prospection visit to the region.
I visited some of the administrative buildings and some private buildings. What I was saying in the other parts of the country is the same thing here. It's not an easy task to find a way where you can accommodate the regional council.
However,
we think with what we've seen, we may have a solution. But since we are just at the level of prospection and that we are going to make proposals, we are going to wait for the decision taken by the head of state.
And when a solution would finally emerge, 1 out of the 5 buildings visited by the minister, accompanied by his close aides and the governor of the Adamawa region, Kildaji Tageke Bukar, will become central to strategic decision-making for local developments in the Adamawa region of Cameroon after the December 6th election.
The week-long Paris Infra Week International Conference on Global Investment has ended in Paris, with a CEMAC delegation signing deals to fund several integration projects in the sub-region. The second phase of the mission of this delegation will be to concretize the deals signed during the upcoming roundtable in the month of November. Here is a balance sheet of the Paris Infra Week Conference with Caroline Okier.
5 of the 11 integration projects have received financial pledges at the just-ended Paris Infra Week, giving them a more than satisfactory note.
We are not only satisfied, we are proud to be part of the mission.
After spending a whole week wooing private, public and financial organizations, it is now time to move to concrete actions.
We are going to the meeting to finalize the discussions and listen to our partners, but especially to the private investors, telling us their commitment and what they are ready to do.
So how ready is the CEMAC high-level delegation for the upcoming November roundtable meeting?
We are completely ready for that event. First of all, the documents are ready. Secondly, the technical studies are also ready. Thirdly, the participants, they are confirming their participation. It is a conference very, very well prepared on technical document so that the partner can study the documents and announce their contribution.
Kudos for a job well done, and more blessings for the November 16 and 17 roundtable finalizing stage in Brussels.
Cameroon's economic potential has been discussed at the Tunisia-Africa Forum, which took place via video conference. Trade Chief Luc Magloire Tangana, representing Cameroon, seized the occasion to highlight measures put in place to attract investors to the country. Here is an excerpt of what he said, curt for us by Takang.
Cameroon represents 6 agroecological zones, which is quite rare. These potentials served as the basis for an economic development tool, the Growth and Employment Strategy paper. There is equally the Industrialization Master Plan, which rests on 3 pillars: digital economy, agro-industry and energy, with 8 structural sectors. Important regulatory measures have been put in place to serve as guarantee for investment. The laws are centered on the promotion of investment and economic zones in Cameroon.
That excerpt was edited for us by Clarice Aretakan. The youths of the West region have solemnly declared that they want peace to reign in Cameroon and nothing else. They made the declaration Friday in Bafoussam during a meeting chaired by West Governor Awa Fonka Augustine. Chancellor Nanze reports.
They came from all the 8 divisions of the West region and from other regions of Cameroon to jointly say yes to peace and to peace alone. One after the other, the representatives of the National Youth Council took to the rostrum to give their messages of peace, calling for unity and harmony among Cameroonians.
Peace is the foundation of everything. And despite our difference, political difference, religion difference, tribalism should not be above us.
Speaking on the occasion, the facilitator, Honorable Bena Fongang, called on them to be worthy ambassadors of peace and ignore detractors who only seek to bring chaos in Cameroon.
We need peace. We want peace because we are brother and sister.
While chairing the meeting, West Governor Awafonka Augustine told the youth of his region to be preachers of peace, tolerance, and dialogue.
They should let the others, and especially the youth, understand that peace is very essential in the development of all its domains. And we are counting on them to be able to preach this peace.
Together, they resolved to stand against hate speech propagated on social media.
1 week into the 2020-2021 school year, the number of parents who used to press for late admissions into public schools seems to have dropped this year. Our reporters have been to so many schools and bookshops and tell us that proprietors and principals say the current situation is partly caused by the coronavirus pandemic. Let's listen to this story by Romeo Kenye.
Paul Nkumbo in an orientation class with Form 5 students. They will be sitting the GCE ordinary level this academic year. Meantime, he receives files of lower 6th and new students.
Parents, some of them, they are putting us pressures, the administrators, in order to register their children. Some of the children are not here in the Yaoundé. For the lower 6 students, they require them to come alongside with their photocopy of birth certificate, a handwritten application, and a photocopy of the result slip.
Elsewhere, it is a deserted school environment, but the administration is present.
Parents are coming gradually, because some of them, they still have that fright in them that the coronavirus is still at hand. So at this level, we are just looking at the second week.
In bookshops, the situation is not indifferent, although vendors have reduced prices by 30% to enable parents catch up with purchase.
When I lack some books, I can come in this shop and see the books. But today, it has not been possible.
While the uniforms await last-minute buyers, the school bells continue to ring for those already set.
And 1 week after school resumption, some pupils and students who have not yet started classes are flooding travel agencies to book a ticket to where they would resume school come this Monday. Gilbert Ongene visited some travel agencies in Yaoundé to observe the hustle of this class of students. His report.
The usual effervescence characteristic of the back-to-school period in travel agencies is still very much present 1 week after classes resumed for the current school year.
Last week, there are a lot of customers who have traveled to Boya. But this week, still yet, there are still people who are going to Boya. So we are happy.
This lady's daughter, Lynn Awa, scored a brilliant pass at the GCE ordinary level this 2020. Her parents decided to keep her back for a while before letting her travel to resume school in Bomono in the Littoral region. The reason is not the same with this lower 6th student of Government High School Motobolombo in Tiko, Southwest region.
I came to Yaoundé for holidays. The problems that I have been sorted out, that's where I'm going.
Travel agency managers say all is in place to prevent the propagation of the coronavirus. The latecomers are on their way to school, but as it is often said, it is better late than never.
Over 100 million CFA francs have been invested by the Mokolo Council in the Far North region for the purchase of items for schools and for the renovation of some schools in the subdivision vandalized by Boko Haram fighters while handing out the assorted materials, including anti-COVID-19 kits. The mayor, Dr. Vohot Degime, promised that the Mokolo Council will always support government's inclusive education policy. Ayuk Jonashu completes that story from Marua.
Mayo Chanaga in general and his chief town Mokolo has always taken center stage in the promotion of education in the Far North region. In keeping with this tradition, the Mokolo Council has once again stepped in with a huge stock of study aids for the 154 schools in the subdivision. The mayor of the Mokolo Council, Dr. Vowot Digeme, situates this gesture within the context of inclusive education and the creation of an enabling environment for studies.
The materials will greatly help us in school. The children will use it in their classrooms, will use it in their office. We have even received up to thermometers that we will have to use to take the children's temperatures in case there is any problem.
The council has also provided materials for the renovation of some schools impacted by Boko Haram vandalism, an initiative which has cost the council over 120 million francs and which, according to the senior divisional officer for Moyo Chanaga, needs to be judiciously managed.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
The Central Regional Delegate of Public Health is satisfied with the way education stakeholders, pupils and students of the region are respecting COVID-19 barrier measures. We now join Baldwin Sama, the Public Health Emergency Center, with Dr. Frank Metom, Deputy Incident Manager for COVID-19 in the Central Region, who talks about the fight against the coronavirus in the region. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening to you, Benin Bumagana. We actually begin the third round of our tour to the different regions to get a pulse of the spread of the coronavirus, especially during this period when we are talking about back to school. Tonight, we begin with the Central region, and our guest is Dr. Frank Metom, who is the Deputy Incident Manager. We're talking about the fight against the COVID-19 in the Central region of Cameroon. Good evening to you, Dr. Frank Metom.
Good evening.
We are 1 week into the start of the 2020-2021 school year. How can you confirm the effective respect of our sanitary measures in the different schools in the Central region, talking about the fight against the COVID-19?
The Ministry of Public Health, they focus on the strategy of treating. Of this reason, it's important for us to learn to students how it's important how to know to identify a suspected case, why it's important to respect the measure prescribed by WHO and the government, and why it's important to notify a suspected case. And for this, we worked together with people of MINSEC and MINJUB to learn this prevention to students. And the important thing that you have to do is also to make a screen test for everyone, for every student, for concerning this to make a screen test for every student concerning for the school, because you have to prevent COVID at school. You need to prevent it because it's very important for us to stop the transmission.
And finally, Doctor, any case of teachers who had to be screened before some of the classes, of any teacher reported tested positive for COVID-19 in the Central region?
Teachers play an important role, a major role on this fighting, because they help us to give this message to students, especially for those who are nursery and primary school. And they accept also to do a screen test. But now we don't have any positive case of any teachers who did it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Frank Metom, for being our guest this evening. He is the Deputy Incident Manager for the fight against COVID-19 in the Central region of Cameroon. And we continue our tour to the different regions tomorrow Sunday as we take you to the nation's economic capital, Douala. Back to you, Benin Bumagana.
Thank you very much, Baldwin Sama von Cayman. The Yaoundé 5 Council has been crowned the cleanest city in the Mfundi division and the cleanest city and the third cleanest city in the whole country. The mayor, Augustin Bala, presented the cash prize of 50 million CFA francs to his denizens while enjoining them to redouble efforts in keeping the community always clean. Details with Victor Siga.
It is amidst a highly animated celebration that the mayor of Yaoundé 5 brandished the prize acknowledging the council as the cleanest in the Fundi division to its population. Hard work acclaimed.
The initiative was to celebrate with the entire population. Before winning this prize, it had been useful for all the population to take part on it. It is normal to celebrate with all of us.
While encouraging him, the divisional officer for the Mfundi, Mvunzie Langa, enjoined him, his collaborators and the population to redouble efforts in keeping the community clean.
We want to build a road which will rely the Mfandena and Gusto quarters. That's the main objective of this amount.
The rendezvous is given for 2021 in Limbe, southwest region of Cameroon, for a new test.
Catholic faithful of the Association of the Most Holy Rosary, Crown of Roses, have been enjoined to deepen their knowledge and commitment to the Holy Mother Mary through the devotion of the Rosary. The Metropolitan Archbishop of Yaoundé, His Grace Jean Barga, was speaking today while celebrating the Pontifical Mass, which preceded a diocesan pilgrimage in Mesamvele, Hawaii, in the Mefu and Afamba division of the Central Region. Gerard Nanji reports.
The sanctuary of Our Lady of the Holy Rosary, Mesamvele, was the meeting point in the pontifical mass that preceded the pilgrimage. The Metropolitan Archbishop of Yaoundé called on the faithful to unify with Mary through the Rosary, which will remain a powerful engine in the face of challenges.
The tradition of devotion of Rosary is a very important tradition. The Mother of God is one of the persons who intercedes the best for us. We came here to offer our lives to her intercession.
Celebrated under the theme, Growth in New Life, members of the Most Holy Rosary Association are committed to such devotion.
With the Rosary, we can ask everything we want to Jesus through Mary.
The Eucharistic celebration was interspersed with the sacrament of confirmation.
On our book review this week, we take you through the book 2 Cents for Africa, authored by Beatrice Free-Bime. The 174-page book calls on Africans to change their mentality and work together for the development of the continent. The author also proposes ideas which can be used for this process to be a success. Natasha Lehman-Losha read the book and now reports.
For development to be effective in Africa, all Africans should change their mentality and work as one, according to the author Beatrice Bime. Throughout the 9 chapters of 2 Cents for Africa, the writer proposes ideas which can contribute to Africa's emergence. Beatrice Free-Bime says the education sector, agriculture, roads and infrastructure should be reinforced while prioritizing health. The author thinks the African continent has a lot of resources, and so Africans should be producers and not consumers. That's the only way the continent's economy can become solid. Meantime, the taxation system should be made simple and equitable, while public income spending accounted for to the taxpayer. The author also proposes a stronger African Union, which can be financed through extraction fees, providing it the power to carry out activities to help propel Africa.
In sports, the Intermediate Lions of Cameroon played a 0-0 draw with South Sudan today in a warm-up game ahead of next year's African Nations Championship in Cameroon. Daniel Ekonde, who watched the match, says the game recorded an encyclopedia of failed scoring opportunities, even on both sides. His report.
Sucking in 3 goals from top-tier side PW Bamenda 2 days ago implied South Sudan would the Lions in an empty Amadou Ahidjo Stadium. Yet the Intermediate Lions struggled to find their balance in the first half. That gave the South Sudanese a chance to take the lead. However, striker Tito Okello firing his penalty away from goal. Then both teams traded possession. In another glaring chance to take the lead, South Sudan blundered again. Winger Kwang Tok unable to bury home a rebound. Cameroon got off to a good start in the second segment, but fell short of proper timing. Renendi's missed chance meant the Bright Stars would still come close. The last quarter of the game was marked by brilliant footwork from Kotong's teenager, Yahaya Abdullahi. Ending goalless, the domestic Lions will now prepare a second leg 3 days from now, while South Sudan will continue their preparation for November's 2022 AFCON qualifiers.
Thank you very much for watching the 7:30 news. I'll be back tomorrow for another edition of the news. But at 8:30, please follow the news with Atabadzin Omar. Have a wonderful Saturday evening and good night. God bless
you. In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing